Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer and Bob Price. Now, their show airs nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. Gael and Bob maintain a focus on sharing books, publishing, marketing, and writing solutions. They serve listeners by providing outlets for their creative skills and energies, and they help them flourish in the competitive marketplace. Their weekly show provides intros, writing spotlights, helps you in promoting your book, your writing, your publishing, your marketing tidbits, and much more. Okay, audience, here's Gael and Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hello.
Did you know that there's a hat that says, I know everything about Bob? About Bob?
Have you been talking to my ex-wives?
Which one?
I was talking to somebody from Phoenix the other day, and I was trying to explain. Yeah, well, I've got two sisters in Phoenix. I've got one ex-wife in Phoenix, and my best friends are in Phoenix. There's too many women in my life that know too much
in Phoenix.
Yes.
Oh, well, at least all your exes are not in Texas.
Only one was.
Only one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my husband had an ex in Texas, and then an ex in Montana, and then an ex in South Carolina, and then I think that might be it. I'm not sure. I lost track. Oh, no, then there's one in Michigan.
Did too.
Yeah, so today we are talking to Mark Pennebaker, who is an local author of fiction. He also founded the St. Louis Indie Book Fair as a way to help himself and other indie authors promote and sell their work. Later, just before COVID hit, he had a vision while driving down Cherokee Street of opening an indie bookstore and event space. Of course, he sat on that until after COVID. And in November 2021, he opened Spine Indie Bookstore and Cafe at 1982 Arsenal Street across from Benton Park, which is not too far from our studio. He had a long walk, uphill in the snow.
Both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here.
Oh, we are excited because actually Mark and I met. How many years ago now?
Oh, 4?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. When he did a show at the church, there was a church. I don't remember where. I think it was near Soulard. There was a church that he was doing. He had a big indie book fair. And it was a beautiful church.
Yeah, I think it was an old Presbyterian church at
Yes.
Jefferson. It was right over there, right to the Cherokee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was Jefferson Cherokee, more or less. It was at a corner there, tall, beautiful, spiral.
Beautiful church. And the second thing that I remember, there's 3 things I remember. 1, it was a beautiful church. 2, we froze our patooies off. It was so cold. I was actually miserable to the point of being mean. And 3, we did not sell a single thing. Those are the 3 things I remember about that day.
That was a complaint from everyone. Yeah. All of a sudden,
it was because it was so cold. Nobody left their house.
The heat went out and nobody could get it fixed. And it was a big auditorium. So even if they did get the heating worked out, it was going to take forever to heat the place. And then, we just couldn't get anybody in.
Right. Absolutely. It was, the whole concept was wonderful.
That's an author's war story.
That is an author war story. Wow. Absolutely.
T-shirts given out.
There was, and I still have the T-shirt.
I had a bunch of swag made up, and I decided to give the shirts away.
Yeah,
like,
I still have it. I still have the T-shirt.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. I still have the T-shirt.
I need to make some more shirts, new shirts for Spine.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll buy one. Yeah, I will definitely buy one. So how did your experience as a local author inspire you to create the St. Louis Indie Book Fair and support other independent authors?
Well, I started out writing screenplays in college. I went to Webster University. I was studying filmmaking, and I was making films, and I was writing screenplays. and I was producing and directing the movies that I was writing. And I realized that I wasn't a very good filmmaker, but I loved the writing process. And so I just kind of segued from writing screenplays to short stories, to poetry, to novellas, to eventually a novel, plays. And I spent years and years just writing, and I was traveling a lot, and I would be gone for long extended times, traveling on my motorcycle across country. I was gone for a whole year one time traveling on my motorcycle, and I was just traveling and writing and just living and just being free spirited. And at some point in time, I decided that I should do something with all this writing. And so I went to my first novel called Fraternity of Fractures, and I had a book of poetry that I put together, and a book of short stories that I put together. The short stories was called God's Food, and the cover was the design from local artist Phil Jarvis. He was kind enough to let me use one of his paintings. He's an amazing artist. And my poetry book was called Motorcycle Boy Lives. And
Motorcycle Boy Lives?
Motorcycle Boy Lives.
Oh.
And
where
so I had...
go? Where else did you go?
Oh, wow. Seriously, I've been from Key West to Alaska, all through New England, all through Canada to Mexico, all points in between. One time I was gone a whole year. Another time I was gone 6 months. Another time I was gone another 6 months. I had my bike shipped to Iceland. Now we'll throw this story in here. Nothing to do with books, but it may be something I write about.
You've been to Reykjavik?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
We just came back from Reykjavik.
Did you go to the Blue Lagoon?
Yes, we did.
That is an amazing place.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
It was amazing. We had such a good time.
You just have a wealth of stories.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Well,
the one.
And on top of that, I met my husband in Key West, Florida.
Oh, okay.
I lived there for 15 years. He lived there for 29
Yeah, we guys
years.
down there petting Hemingway's cats and
yes, the six-toed
having
cats.
a cocktail.
all the chickens.
Yeah, the chickens and the roosters. Do not forget the roosters.
Yes, yeah.
Well, so some friends of mine were teaching at WashU, and their visa was expired, and they were both from Iceland. They were going back to their hometown, Reykjavik. And I had some things happen that really freed up my calendar, my schedule, and that's another story altogether. And they said, why don't we throw your bike in our container? Because they put all their furniture and everything in these big containers. Why don't we throw your bike on the back of our container and you come visit us and travel around Iceland on your motorcycle? And I'm like, I don't have anything keeping me here. Why not? Sure, okay. My mom worked for an airline at the time. She got me a business class for like nothing, hardly. It's really spoils you. Business class or first class really spoils you. And so I flew into Scotland, and from Scotland flew into Reykjavik. Met with them, pulled my bike off the container. We hung out there for about a week and a half, and I left and I traveled through the entire South.
The South Golden Circle.
Yeah, to a small town called Sadisfjordur. And from there took a ferry into Amsterdam and then continued my motorcycle rides into Europe, where my bike finally broke down in a small German town. And it was funny because there was a gasket leak or something that I tried to fix. And it was right around the carburetor. And for us motorcyclists, the carburetor is kind of the heart of the motorcycle. And it was bleeding this red gasket, like, blood, right? And I don't know what went wrong with my poor bike. Her name was Lily Little Thunder. And she had survived like so much. But in Germany, I don't know what happened. It was just too much. And so everything is new in Germany. Everything is new.
Yes.
And my bike was a 1979 XS 1100 Special. It was a classic, but it was an old bike. And I pulled into this small town, and they don't speak English. And they point to the bleeding heart of my motorcycle, and he says, too hot, broke. I'm like, Thank you. Yes, I know. I said, can you fix it? And of course, everything is new. They don't have the parts, and they're like, no, you're out of luck. So I had to leave Lily Little Thunder it was called Allen in Germany. I had to leave her behind. I've since bought another motorcycle exactly like her, and she's Lily Little Thunder 2.
What brand is it?
It's a Yamaha.
Oh, a Yamaha. Well, that's part of the problem. A Japanese bike in Germany.
There you
But
go.
but they had a Yamaha dealer.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
I'll be
They
darned.
did.
Oh my.
And my joke was always, if I ever get a Harley, she would be Lily Big Thunder. But I decided not to do the Harley thing.
No.
Yeah, I'll stick with my Lily, my little Lily. Anyway, so I'm not sure how we got.
Well, you were telling us about what inspired you to create the
Oh,
St.
right,
Louis
right. So-
Indie Fair.
So I was writing all this stuff, and so now I decided, well, I'm going to try to publish something. And I went the traditional route that all authors do, and I try to find a publisher, try to find an agent. I'm getting tons of rejection letter. I had a loft. I was living in a loft downtown at the time, and this must have been 10 years ago at least. And I had my FU wall, and it was
Right.
it was
I
all
heard
of
you.
the rejection letters that I had, and that was my FU wall. But my FU was to them, not to me. It was
Right,
like,
right.
And so self-publishing started to get a little traction. It wasn't the same like vanity press thing. It was starting to get a little bit more respect, and I decided to self-publish. And so after self-publishing, first my book of poetry, then my short story, then my novel.
Author publishing, not self-publishing. Author.
Actually, indie publishing.
Indie. I
Yeah.
like that even better.
Yeah.
Well,
I really do.
There's two distinctions.
Yeah.
There is indie publishing,
Right.
and there is self-publishing.
Right. But I don't
or-
like self-publishing. It
It does have the
content-
vanity press feel to
It
it.
does. And I mean, because it really isn't. You can put out a real good quality product and be quote unquote self-published, and it still be a good quality. And that self concept is vanity, and it's like it's not good enough. And I have a problem with that. I really do.
Well, I'm changing my ways.
Oh,
Well,
good.
I'll tell you this. And my bookstore, which is the Spine Indie Bookstore and Cafe, they're all indie publishers and indie authors, and there is amazing writing in there.
Wow.
That's the point. That is exactly the point. It's amazing writing. A lot of people do it.
Yep.
And because you don't have an agent and you don't have a big publishing company behind you, does not make it any less.
Well, and that kind of feeds off of what I was. The point is that when you are an indie author, then you have to do your own promotion and all that kind of stuff, right? So I used to own an art gallery, and I used to produce the films that I was making. And so I can put things together. And so I decided to put together the St. Louis Indie Book Fair. And I had like 4 of them. And the idea was just to foster independent authors and publishers and bring readers and writers together. And they were never, none of them were really very successful, but as far as like the turnout of the readers. But the writers were very enthusiastic and supportive, and they came out. And the one that you guys were at in the church was like our biggest one. I think we had maybe like 40 tables or something. We had
It was
maybe 30
I
tables.
thought it was fairly large.
It was a good turnout for authors.
Right.
Well, I'm getting ready to do another one. I'm changing it from the St. Louis Indie Book Fair to the Spine Indie Book Fair, and we're going to looks like we're going to probably have 50 authors
Wonderful.
in that one. Yeah. But anyway, so that's how I got into the whole idea of doing an indie book fair. Is just really was, to promote my books, and then also to promote other authors' books. And a rising tide, raises all boats. And so I just got the word out to a bunch of people and said, I'm putting this thing together. You went in, and that's how that started.
Did the COVID pandemic really have an impact on what you were planning and opening it? Did your vision change in any way?
Well, I decided that I wanted to tweak it a little bit just before COVID hit. And so it was pretty natural. It was an easy decision just to not even have one while COVID was happening. So the last one that we did at the church, that was the last one before COVID. So that was maybe a year or 2 before COVID.
Right.
And then when COVID hit, it was a no-brainer. And then I opened up Spine just after COVID, a little early after post-COVID. But so the COVID thing really didn't have much of wasn't much of a decision.
How did you finalize that location of Spine? on Arsenal?
Well, the original vision that I saw was another corner building, old corner building at Cherokee and I don't know some other street, and that's where I got my vision of having an event space in a bookstore, and I would sell booze and I would make money during the various events that I would have, but it would be like an indie bookstore.
Right.
And I started into negotiations with the owner, and he was very into what I was talking about, and we were talking about build out, and I was like drawing up the blueprints and everything, and like mid email, he just ghosted me, and I don't know what happened. I don't know, but he just ghosted me. And right after that, COVID hit. And I totally dodged a bullet because I was ready to sign a lease. I was ready to let's sign the dotted line. Let's do this. Let's make this thing happen. I want to start doing the build out. I want to get going. And he ghosted me. And a few months after that, COVID hit. So I totally dodged that bullet. And then after COVID, or towards the end of COVID, I was still kind of looking at buildings and looking at places. And a real estate agent, a friend of mine, found this place in Benton Park, which is a gorgeous building.
Oh, it's delightful.
Is it? Yeah.
We were in it a couple of weeks ago, and it's just a wonderful building.
Yeah, it's a nice building. Yeah. And it used to be a lot of things, but it used to also be a tavern called the Grapevine. And the notoriety and the history of that is that it's where, oh my God, the assassination of Martin Luther King was planned, was plotted.
Oh my!
Yeah, and it's even in Tennessee or Memphis, I think. There in the Martin Luther King Museum it's mentioned. The bar is mentioned, the Grapevine, and it was owned by who's the guy that assassinated Martin Luther King?
Got me.
This is embarrassing. Everybody.
Well, let me ask you this:
Radioland is screaming out the name.
What unique experiences or offerings do you provide to your customers? What makes this special? Why they want to be here?
Well, the Spine Bookstore, indie bookstore and cafe. I guess the unique thing that we offer is it is the only bookstore in the Midwest that carries exclusively independent authors and publishers. Okay. And so you have that unique niche that I provide. And it's not just local authors. I have authors from all over the country. And we have events in the evenings, and we're kind of like a listening room. So we'll have open mics, music and poetry and storytelling, and various events in the evening that I think a lot of people can appreciate, because it kind of fosters, again, the creativity, creates a community where people can express themselves and let loose their creative inner child. And I think that since COVID, a lot of people are finding their creative inner child. Absolutely. Because they're stuck inside, they're watching YouTube, learn how to play the ukulele and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people out there that
learning to play the ukulele.
Ukulele, really?
There you go.
By the way, James Earl Ray.
James Earl Ray, thank you. God, that's so embarrassing.
James Earl Ray, and I have to thank my husband for that.
Thank God for Google. So it was owned by the Ray family.
Right.
And on Arsenal, there was a house several houses that were full of white supremacists. Uh-huh. And
it's still there?
Well, no, I mean the houses are still there, but
no, they
were all gone. But anyway, so the rumor is, the story is, and it's pretty valid, is that that's where it was kind of plotted, was in my building, where in the tavern that is my cafe right now.
But I like the fact that you changed it into a bookstore, that you made it something really special.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's really, really, really cool. So can you share a memorable moment or experience that you had since opening the Spine bookstore? Something that.
Well, I don't know if I can recall a memorable moment, but I think what is memorable for me is the amount of books that we sell. that was a complete surprise. When I first envisioned this thing, I didn't think I was going to sell a lot of books. I thought I'd make my money on booze at the events that I'm going to have.
Right.
And we have just sold just just thousands of dollars worth of
Books.
retail,
Wow.
I think it's like $6,000 in retail sales of books alone.
Wow.
And the thing is that
How long has the bookstore been open?
it's a year and a half.
Wow.
And
That's
what's
really
amazing to
good.
me about this is that, there's so many people coming in that are willing to take a chance on unknown author. They look at the cover, they like the cover, they read the back for a description. Maybe they open up a random page and they read and like the writing and they buy the book, just like that. And there's the amount of people that are coming in and taking chances on unknown authors was just incredibly surprising. And I was that's very memorable to me. Like I just landed on this thing that people are responding
I think people
to.
are starving for that. I really do. I think there is, the very popular, everybody talks about, everybody knows, but I think people are starving for something that's a little bit more creative, a little bit more unknown, a little bit more different. I think that that's something people want. People want something that's different. The same old, no.
A thought of mine was that we are going to start doing some webinars and really talking about authors and building this up. My thought would be it'd be something that could tie in with you.
Absolutely.
I would love to have a
share.
webinar. I would absolutely host a webinar at Spine.
Okay, cool.
That's the next thing we should take a look at.
Yeah,
Do
we
it.
could do it in the bookstore because it's kind of
Yeah.
isolated and it's got a nice. The room is pretty live.
Yeah.
For recording.
Yeah,
wise.
I'm all for it.
I didn't think of it.
I'm all for it.
Being in the bookstore, but yeah, we could.
We
Why
could do
sure,
it in
why
the
not?
bookstore.
Well,
Why
we
not?
we could just tie it in at the same time that we're up in St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That sounds like a plan
All
to
right.
me. We just
Well,
have
that's
to.
the kind of thing that I want to do at Spine.
And the other thing is that my husband is a children's book writer, and I would also like to do an event for him while they're there. As a matter of fact, I have a whole list of writers that I will, ask them, of course, first and share and see if they would be interested in doing events at your bookstore as well.
Well, so what we do normally is we have every author that's represented on my shelves has an opportunity to do a Monday night author showcase.
Monday
And
night.
it's free of charge. We put it together. We promote as much as we can.
Mhm,
We encourage them to promote it.
mhm.
And it's a nice way for them to at least collect some social media PR.
Right.
And even if there's only one person there, you can still videotape it or photograph it
Mhm.
and
And then post it on their website.
post it on the website.
Right.
But I was going to do a webinar. I was going to do a live broadcast and I was going to do a webinar kind of thing, but it's just there's too many. I'm wearing too many hats as it is, so I had to kind of like put it aside. So I would
Right.
love for that
Maybe we could-
aspect.
yeah,
to get
we could-
picked up.
We could maybe.
That would be something that we could put together
Uh-huh.
and script
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
make it work.
Yep.
And do all the technical end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're probably as astute at putting that together.
I could help a little bit with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's an idea.
That's a good
We
idea.
can do that.
Yes, we can.
Yep. I got
Just-
your location.
You
for
just added one more thing to my plate. Like I haven't got enough things on my plate already. Are you looking for me to get a divorce? Is that what it is? I mean,
Just
That-
have
that-
yeah,
that got
Yeah.
his attention.
yeah.
yeah. That is suddenly his head perked
That
up.
was news. News to Ralph. He's getting a divorce.
No, he's not.
No.
I already told him how he gets out of this marriage.
You said the only way out of this was in a body bag.
No, it's a pine box. It's his. But yeah, so
Well, there's books to help you cope with that.
yeah. All right. So you're listening to Author's Edge with Gael Freer and Bob Price, coming to you weekly on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on KWRH 92.9 and KXOK 102.9 FM, and Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. nationwide on My Genre Radio Network. Also on our website, Author's Edge, you can find our shows and some tidbits on writing.
There you go. Downloadable.
Downloadable.
And we're about to go to commercial.
And we're about to go to commercial. Thank you.
Boy, there must be an echo.
Yep.
Folks, it's time to let You've Got Maids focus on cleaning your home so you can focus on life. Whether you need weekly, bi-weekly, one-time cleaning, your home will be cleaned to your highest expectations. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. You can get a free, no-obligation estimate today. See how little it can cost to have all of your house cleaning needs met by You've Got Maids and their trained maids. All you have to do is go to you'vegotmaids.com, enter your zip code and a little bit of information about your dwelling, and they'll come back immediately with a free estimate. You've Got Maids offers cleaning services ranging from deep cleaning to simple everyday cleaning on a schedule that matches yours. Live well, laugh often, love much. Stop cleaning your house. Turn it over to You've Got Maids at you'vegotmaids.com.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
Height Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency that helps local businesses grow online. They offer everything from logo and branding to website design, search engine optimization, and paid advertising on Google and Facebook. Height was just named to the top marketing agency list for 2022 by St. Louis Small Business Monthly. Contact them today for a free digital audit to see how you can grow. That's Height Digital, HITE digital.com/ST-Lewis.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are talking to Mark
Panda Becker.
Panbaker.
Panda Becker.
Panbaker.
Close
Panbaker.
enough. Close enough.
Yeah, Panbaker. No, that's not close enough. Panbaker.
Panda Becker.
Panbaker. Okay, and I understand that Panbaker is also a German word, so let's go. Let's go with that.
Means tile maker, as I
Tile maker.
explained earlier.
Okay.
Mark with the
Okay. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, Mark, according to your philosophy about your bookstore, Spine, it was created to offer an inclusive venue that allows for creative expression in a supportive environment, and we hope to showcase the talents of both those who are finding their voice and those with more experience.
Yes.
In what ways do you believe the indie bookstores contribute to the literary community and support local authors?
Well, obviously, I show the support from by having their books on my shelves. So I give all indie authors an opportunity to put their books on my shelves. I don't censor anything coming in. I let the free market decide. Most bookstores, they have to, they don't take indie authors. They have, and if they do, they buy them straight out. And so they're, really cautious about where their money is going because they have to make sure that they're going to buy books that they're going to be able to sell. Well, I don't have to worry about that because I'm a consignment bookstore. And so I'll take any indie author who has a book, fiction or nonfiction, and they'll fill out the consignment form. And if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so I give a lot of people an opportunity to have their books on their shelves. I also have an opportunity for them to do some self-promotion with the author showcase.
You help promote the authors and you give them a voice.
Yes. Yeah, and I give them a voice and not just authors, but other creatives as well by our various events that we have. So we have we'll have like a open mic, poetry and music, storytelling. We'll have seminars. We'll have discussions.
When do you do those open nights?
So on Sundays, every Sunday we do the open mic poetry.
Okay.
And then on Monday nights, those are reserved for the author showcase.
Okay.
And that way that there's where an author can come in and they have a couple of hours usually just to promote themselves, their cause, their book, whatever they want to do. Every other Tuesday we do a comedy night. Wednesday we do an open mic music night. The first Thursday we do storytelling. The third Thursday we do an event called Unseen St. Louis. Jackie Dana helps us put that together, and so that is exploring the unknown or hidden or forgotten parts of St. Louis. Like the last one we were talking about the St. Louis Underground that kind of went through St. Louis and the surrounding area. And then we talked about the caves and all kinds of different aspects of St. Louis that people normally talk about. And then on Saturday we do a singer-songwriter showcase. But
Fridays?
we also have
What are you doing Fridays?
Fridays I leave open for like private events and things.
Okay.
And so and then we also do all kinds of different events for helping people write, to help people understand how to publish. Anybody can come to me with an idea, and if I have time to fit them in, I'll be more than happy to lend my space to them. We charge for private parties, but if somebody wants to maybe put together a little discussion on how to self-publish, and if they want to reach out to their audience, their sphere of influence, they want to try to pull some people in, then I'm happy opening it up. And if they buy a couple of drinks, then
Right.
then that's all I ask. So I don't charge people a lot for.
Maybe Mark should become one of our co-authors.
I think so.
What's that?
We've written a short book on publishing, marketing, writing, but we should expand that.
You think so?
Yeah.
How do you want to expand it?
It's where it could be more detailed and give better information.
Right. But the other
More
thing is
thorough
that
information.
I'm also thinking is that we could do little mini workshops at your place.
I love workshops and discussion groups and things like that. I love that stuff.
That's what I'm thinking. More than expanding the book, doing workshops. Maybe like once a month or something like that. Like the same day
Well,
that
we
we're
could
here.
combine it with
the same day that we're
doing a
here.
webinar.
Yeah. Doing workshops because that's one of the things that people need help with. They need help with the writing process. They need help with we need to talk more about this.
We'll brainstorm a little bit and figure out what maybe a plan would be, and we can sit down with you and kind of go
and not
through
do this
this
on the air because right now we need to talk more about Mark and his thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Talk about me.
Yeah, talk about Mark.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to
It's
also
all
talk
about Mark.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all about Mark.
One of the things is that I was curious about the challenges that you face between doing the book fairs and Spine.
Yeah.
What kind of challenges have you run into to really make all this happen?
I'm wearing more hats than I had anticipated, and I'm doing a lot of things because we're a small operation. I mean, our revenue isn't very much right now, so I'm pretty much doing everything myself. I have two bartenders / baristas, but I'm doing everything myself. And so the challenge is just keeping focused and making sure I keep events coming in and I keep, making it, interesting or relevant, and just not dropping the ball in social media and press releases and things like that. So the challenge is just that my thing is like I've discovered that the Spine Indie Bookstore and Cafe isn't really a cafe where it's like food is served. I was originally going to have like small plate foods and when I first opened up, I tried to do breakfast stuff and try to do lunch stuff, but it just wasn't working out. And I just recently decided that I'm not going to mess with food. I'm just going to mess with events. I'm going to bring people in. I'm going to teach. I'm going to let people express themselves. I'm just going to make it an event space. And so it's a small event space now.
Right.
Not now, but it always was. So that's what my focus is. It's a bookstore and small event space. We serve, coffee and teas and alcohol and non-alcoholic drinks. We got a liquor license 1 o'clock in the morning. So private parties can last forever. But the challenge for me is just relearning how to manage people. Because I was on my own for so long doing things by myself, traveling and writing and working in general contracting. These are all things that I would just do by myself, and then now I have employees and I have to learn how to talk to people, and manage them.
Yeah, I was in the restaurant business before, and when I was in Knickers, and it's an interesting phenomena when you have employees and this one doesn't show up and that one doesn't show up.
Yeah,
this one does. You got to figure out either how to cover it or you just slap that apron on and you're doing it yourself.
And that's the latter for me, most likely. Is you can't make it. All right, I'll be in.
The other thing I also want to talk about is your book, A Fraternity of Fractures.
Okay.
All right. So tell us about that.
Well, it's sold out right now. I think a lot of people feel obligated to buy my book when they come into my bookstore, but it's kind of a modern day Cyrano de Bergerac. It's an urban love triangle.
Uh-huh.
And it takes place in St. Louis in the 80s when the 80s St. Louis City was just abandoned. There was just tons of buildings that there was nobody was living downtown.
When KXOK was a baby.
Oh,
Well,
places were falling apart. Nobody was, crime was high. It was just St. Louis City in the 80s was just, it's just a really a lousy place to be. But there was a lot of drugs and violence and things like that. But so that fit perfectly with my story because my story is about how three thieves, how their relationship gets torn apart when two of them fall in love. And so the protagonist, Justin, isn't just a regular thief, because people don't like thieves, but they like cat burglars, like.
You mean lovable thieves?
Yeah, lovable thieves that dance around laser lights, and steal Pink Panther diamonds. So I made Justin.
Pink Panther diamonds.
Yeah, so I made Justin, a conscientious cat burglar, and he had a philosophy.
Only from the rich.
Kind of, sort of. He had a philosophy of what he took and why, and he meets Phoenix, and Phoenix is this strong young New Yorker, has been on her own since she was young, and when her mother tried to turn her on into life of prostitution, she ran away, and she's got a really great backstory. But anyway, so she meets Justin, and they form a friendship, and he teaches her, and they become friends, and they live together, and then she meets Dylan. And he is an unlovable thief. He's the kind of person that throws a brick through a window to take something, right?
Right.
And so she asks Justin, very much like Cyrano de Bergerac, she asked Justin to teach Dylan, how to, I don't know, be a better person by stealing the right things. I don't know. But she asked him to help Dylan, and Dylan misunderstands their relationship, and he's really jealous, and it takes a really nasty turn. And that's where the relationship falls apart when three of them fall in love. And so it's just kind of a modern day Cyrano de Bergerac, urban
tale.
Yeah.
Urban tale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's lots of references to St. Louis and different parts of the city and history.
So now, were you born and raised in St. Louis, or
no? But I've lived here on and off my whole adult life. I've lived other places and traveled a lot, but I've lived in the city, since my 20s.
Oh, okay. All right.
On and off, yeah.
It's funny. I didn't think about the 80s being a wild and crazy place.
For St. Louis?
Well, maybe I was caught up in my own time. It was in the 70s. I'm reliving everything.
Well, no, I was in the 80s. I was in New York. Well,
Yeah.
until 1986.
You were still a
1986.
baby when I was around.
I know. I know. I know. So, beginning the story too early. Many writers start their story before the interesting part. Did you start your story before the interesting part?
Well, yeah, there's a thing. What is it? Media. What is it? That Italian term where you start it during the action. What's that Italian term? I'm drawing blanks. Media something. Anyway.
But your script writing experience probably focused on that or influenced that
a little bit. But here's the thing. I kind of like I was heavily influenced by Russian authors, and really? So I like
who, for example?
Well, I mean Dostoevsky, Tolstoy. I mean, the whole Chekhov. I mean, the whole thing. But it was the writing style of when you sit down and read a book, you're investing in that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have to start off with, a car chase and buildings exploding. I mean, you can take a little time to build into the story and give a chance for the first act to just kind of meet the characters, before you get into that the initiating incident that causes the story, the original conflict that causes the story to take off. So I'm not a big fan of movies or books that put me right in the middle of the action immediately, and then 20 minutes later say 2 days later or 2 days earlier, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah.
So I like books that just I get introduced to the characters, the landscape, the environment, the universe that they're creating. And I'm okay reading several pages just to kind of get a feel for it before we get into it.
Get a feeling for the setting.
Yeah.
How do authors get their books into Spine?
So you go to our website, which is spybookstorecafe.com, and there is on the bookstore page, there is a consignment agreement that they fill out, and it's a Google Doc, so it gets sent to me directly. And then they just drop off 3 or 4 copies of their books, and that's it. And I was writing consignment commission checks at the end of each quarter, but I changed it to electronic. So now I'm doing it at the end of every month. So if something sells, you may only get a $7.67 check from me, depending on how much your book is, because I take 40%.
So the split is 60-40?
60-40, yeah. So it's 60% to the author for the price that they set. So they can set any price they want with it.
Right. That's a nice split.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
No,
sometimes the checks are written, they're kind of small, but
right.
But it's a good feeling that you have, to know that somebody liked your book. They picked it up.
Absolutely. Oh, it absolutely is. So are you going to give us any marketing tips? I skipped that part. Did you notice that?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Not only did I skip yours, but I also skipped mine.
Why don't you do your publishing?
You want me to do my publishing?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let's see. 8 tips of what not to do as a writer. I'll actually only have 7. Leaving out the plot.
Run out of fingers?
Yeah. Develop the plot so that there's a sequence of events. What happens first, second, third. In other words, messing up your plot, making sure that there's a sequence there. Letting the characters off too easily. Challenge the characters and make them hateable. People like characters that they can hate. They also like characters that they can love, but that's too easy. You want to be able to hate the character. Be willing to make things up. Muddying the point of view. Don't muddy the point of view. If you're in first person, stay in first person. If you're an omniscient, stay in omniscient. Don't muddy that up. Rushing. Don't rush the ending. Don't get to the point where, okay, I know what the ending's going to be, blah, 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 I'm done. Don't do that. Okay, using incorrect formatting. Remember the professional publishing world. The Chicago Manual of Style is the most accepted. MLA is used for the academic world. Playing it safe. Get out of your comfort zone and stretch your imagination. Writing prompts will help with this. Also ask what if questions of everything that happens and everyone that's in the storyline. So those are my 7 tips of what not to do as a writer. Voila, as they say.
Why does it say 8 tips?
Because I said the first one already.
So, Mark, do you have 7 tips with what to do as a writer? Is that how
Yeah,
this goes?
no, actually, he does the marketing stuff, but he doesn't have a marketing thing. He doesn't do his homework very frequently.
Oh, here goes.
Yeah,
Teacher's
he's
coming
really
out.
bad about his homework. Oh, the teacher snapped like
Yep.
that. The teacher comes out.
I know.
Woo!
I forgot my
no.
book, and I was gonna.
Yeah.
Chastise.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like doing homework. I can't understand this. He will not do his freaking homework.
I promise.
Yeah, I know. That's what you said the last time, and the time before that.
No, I didn't
and the
say I
time before
promise. I never said promise.
Yes, you did.
I'd like to sort of let the audience know that she's got a ruler in her hand.
Next time, I am going to have a ruler. So, what else do you want to talk about?
Well, let me just throw out real quick about the St. Louis Indie.
Yes, please do.
Not St. Louis, the Spine. Right. So the Spine Indie Book Fair was formerly the St. Louis Indie Book Fair that you guys we met.
Right.
So the Spine Indie Book Fair is September 23rd from 10 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
We have a permit to block off the entire street of Illinois Avenue that runs between Spine Bookstore and Benton Park.
Okay.
And it's a cul-de-sac. So we're going to have the street lined with, looks like it's going to be about 50 tables of authors and publishers. And we'll have some food and drinks available. And we're trying to put together some things inside different workshops and different discussion groups and things like that. Kind of working that out right now. And we're just, so that's going to happen September 23rd.
September 23rd.
September 23rd, Saturday.
Okay. Is there a cost?
Well, it's $25
Okay.
for the space, reserve the
Right.
space, but it's free to the public.
It's free. Okay. And do you supply anything other than just the space? The
Just the
tables?
space.
You don't supply tables or
No,
chairs?
no. I used
or
to do
anything?
that with the St. Louis Indie Book
Right.
Fair, but now, but not with
Not with
Spine
this one.
Indie Book Fair. No, so
Okay.
it's just a space.
Just a space. And
So
rain
people
and
bring in
shine?
tables, they bring tents.
Is there electricity?
Well, there's access to electricity. I mean, if it's really needed for display purposes or something, but I had a generator. The first event that I had where I blocked off Illinois Avenue, I had a generator available for that. It was in November though, and we were thinking it might be a little
Heat.
cold. So,
Yeah.
so we had that kind of set up for people to do like little space heaters. But I haven't planned on a generator for the one in September.
Okay.
Would you take some handcrafted jewelers?
Not for this. This is mainly books.
Just books.
But we do an art fair. We're going to do another one. We're going to do a year or 2-year anniversary in November. November. Where it will be open to any kind of any creative thing that you want to
All
sell.
right.
So so for that you could do that.
I'm close to somebody who does handcrafted jewelry.
Okay, cool.
That was the reason
Yeah.
I asked.
Yeah. But you'll also be able to put books there too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be an art
I'm
fair.
close to somebody who does books. If I was going to be in town during the 23rd,
Yeah.
we would be doing it, but I'm not going to be in town,
Yeah.
so we won't be able to participate. But we might participate in the November one. Absolutely.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun. It's
I love doing them.
The
I
last
really
two
do.
have been a really good turnout. People coming out and
Mhm.
supporting the different artists.
And you're going to have. You said you were going to have food. Is it
Yeah,
gonna be
we'll figure something out. We'll
food
have food.
trucks?
Probably not food trucks. We might have a local chef do something. We might do some sandwiches. We might do something with a local restaurant. We might do ice cream. We'll have something
Right.
like that. But it's just something to snack on.
Right. Yeah, because people get hungry during the day,
Yeah.
especially your vendors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
So that's September 23rd.
what's the most
And
important
if they want to get
advice?
any information on that, they can just go to spineandbookstorecafe.com.
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
What
Spine.
was the most important advice that you can offer a writer starting on the path of self-publishing?
Well, starting on the path of self-publishing is different than starting on the path of writing. So if they're starting on a path of self-publishing, my advice would be get an editor.
You separate those.
I did. Yeah.
And why?
Well, because it's two different pieces of advice. If you're focusing on writing and ultimately wanting to get self-published or indie published,
Thank you.
then the most important thing is to get an editor, because the end result is the publishing, right? Get an editor. You have to have an editor. You just trust me on that. Just get an editor. Pay for it. Do it.
Absolutely.
If you're looking at just to start writing, of course, eventually, obviously, the end result is to publish, get published at some point in time. But if you're starting out just to write, just wanting to learn how to write, just appreciate the writing, and you're pursuing that, then my advice to that is be brutally honest with yourself and your characters, and the truth will come out, and you'll create interesting characters, and you'll create interesting stories, as opposed to just trying to market something. What's marketable now? Werewolves and vampires. Yeah.
Right.
So that's my two different pieces of advice.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. 100%. You have to be brutally honest with your own writing and with your own characters. And you have to have it edited, professionally edited. Period. Explanation point.
Smiley face.
You keep hitting on that point.
Well, yeah, because I've had too many people who've come to me and said, "Oh, my work is fine. I use Grammarly. It's fine." No, it's not. Okay. So please don't say that to me. And people won't listen. And that's when and honestly, I won't publish someone who refuses to listen. I have no patience for it. So
when you're talking about the editing process, what are some of the things that you're looking for? Or maybe that could be one of your tips that you may form.
Well, actually, it has the things that I just spoke about a few minutes ago. One of them is well-developed characters. The 7 tips of what not to do as a writer. Leaving out the plot, making sure that the plot is fully developed. Don't let your characters off easily. Make someone hateable. You can have lovable characters, but make somebody hateable, because without the hateable, you don't have conflict.
The conflict.
Okay, and if for a story to work, you have to have a conflict of some sort, any kind. Be willing to make things up. Doesn't have to be always the way it is. Make it up. Muddying the point of view. You have to have a solid point of view. If you're doing first person, stick to your first person. Don't make it omniscient if it's first person, and don't make it first person if it's omniscient. Rushing your ending. I have read writers who I will get to the end and they will just get where they're tired of what they're doing and they'll just tie it up at the end. And I'm sort of like, what do you mean here? This is not what I was looking for. And as a matter of fact, I can't tell you the number of times I will slam the book down and say, "Oh, this is not the way it's supposed to end." And he'll start laughing. My husband will start laughing because he'll say, because I'll get so upset with the ending because it just ties it up in a way that it's just like because they don't care. They don't care enough to make the ending solid.
Okay.
Using an incorrect format.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, books are my passion. Okay. And if you didn't know that now, you do now. Or you didn't know it then, you do now. Don't play it safe. Get out of your comfort zone. If you only thing you've ever read or written is one type of story, do something different. Those are my things about editing. And make sure that what you are saying is what you mean. Do not assume. You know what assume means, right? We're not going there.
Okay. This is a
Make
family
sure-
show.
It's a family show. Make sure that what you are saying is what you mean. That's my 2 cents.
Well, Mark,
Yes.
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 Actually, I want to thank you
Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
for sharing
Now,
your thoughts.
Website is
SpineBookstoreCafe.com.
okay.
And the book is
The book is Fractures,
Fraternity of Fractures.
Fraternities and Fractures.
Fraternity of Fractures.
Fraternity of.
Fraternity of Fractures.
Because all the characters are fractured.
Ah, that's right. I remember reading that because I read the little blurb on the back of it. And the show, the Indie Fair,
The
is
Spine Indie Book Fair, September 23rd.
and we can find more information about that on the website. It is $25 per spot.
Free to the public.
And is there a deadline?
No, not really. I mean, we have a whole street, right? So
Okay.
we could put a table,
Just
a
about
whole
it.
block
Right.
to fill. So I'm not
Okay.
really, somebody could come at the day of,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to Author's Edge. Tune in again next week for more tips, resources, and your favorite conversations. Our next guest will be Bill Field, and we'll be chatting about art photography. Till then, see you around the inkwell. Goodbye, Bob.
goodbye, Gael. Goodbye, Mark.
Goodbye, Mark.
We'll
And
get
no, by
down
the way,
street.
that's Mark with a K,
Not a C.
not a C.
Okay.
Mark with the K
Yeah.
pronounced as a C.
Oh, and by the way, we have a book fair coming up in Cape Girardeau
Oh, yes, that's
at
right.
the library.
Don't forget, it's September 2nd is the book fair.
What was the time? It's
Uh,
like 1:30 to
3.
3.
Yep. So
All
get in touch with the Cape Library. Thank you and good.
Thank you.
right. Bye.
assistance to seniors who are 62 years or older and have past due utility bills and are having a hard time making ends meet. President and CEO of United Way of Southern Nevada, Julian High, says the program has been around for years and has made significant impact. According to the group, Project REACH supported more than 2,100 households in fiscal year 2023.
And we know that a lot of seniors have some economic challenges just due to living on that fixed income. And so we really try and make the utility assistance available to them in order to help ease the burden.
This is Mike Clifford for Public News Service. Hear us on interesting radio stations, your favorite podcast platform. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
Funding for world and national news has been made possible